Hello and welcome to day 142 of the Corona Yoga Challenge. Today we have made it up to 310,000. If you go back to day 100, you'll see that was the last time the UK was at 310,000. I have a couple of friends who are like, Susanna, you can't trust the data. Like, if the British government uses Worldometer to display their information, then I think I can trust them enough to know something funny is going on. However, today we are talking about aparigraha, non-greediness, non-possessiveness, non-attachment. So I should start with that. So my attachment is to why is the British government got these figures and not being open about it, and I'm quite attached to it. As you'll see, I often sadly bring this up, don't I? So I'm going to let go of it and be a really good example of non-grasping to the attachment to statistics and clarity of statistics and government's choices. So let's talk about aparigraha. So translated as non-greed. So if you think about life, there's things that we need, there's things that we sort of need, and there's things that we definitely don't need. And there's the hierarchy of needs, so we need shelter, we need food, we need water. Then way down, I don't know how many levels down we've got, like, oh, I need nice new sheets. I'm not saying you don't want them, I'm not saying they're not fantastic, but we don't usually actually need them. So I think for whenever I'm thinking about these kind of philosophies in yoga, so this is one of the yamas, one of the things we're not supposed to do. We're not, according to the yogic path, these are the things that we have to work through before we get to the things that we positively move towards. So non-greed. So what do we want in life that is just a greed, that we just want more of for the sake of it? So I'm talking about this, but I have to admit my family used to call me Imelda Marcos because I had so many pairs of shoes. And I'm not talking fancy shoes, but shoes that I liked. I worked in the shoe shop in America, in 9 West, and they would have stock taking, and then they'd say, right, any of these shoes are $5. So 20 pairs of shoes came home with me. That easy. Maybe not 20, but way too many shoes. I now have less shoes, but I would still be on the probably too many clothes, too many shoes for what you need scale. So that's one that I have been working on in the past week, and I now have a bin bag of clothes to go out, which gives me great pleasure, genuinely. But when we're thinking about life, it's really important to work out what is it that we want, what is it that we need, what is it that's actually just this kind of slightly obsessive desire for more. And I personally think people are right up there for me. So my sister is just about to go back 600 miles away. So obviously coronavirus is going to spike again and we're not going to be able to see each other and it's going to be difficult. And she said today that we shouldn't have a last hug, that we should avoid having a last hug because actually it was too much thinking about having a last hug for the next who knows how many months. And that I thought was actually a really good example of non-greed, non-grasping. So greed is one thing, we kind of understand that word, but another definition of it is non-grasping, so not kind of that clinging thing. And of course I would like to cling to her and her not to go 600 miles away, or her kids, but that's not going to happen. So then I really liked her saying, look, let's just not do that, because that is that lovely yogic thing of saying, let's let go, let's just let it happen and see where we get to, which is, I think, a lovely attitude. And that grasping thing with people, I think, is really important, and I suspect a number of you will be having that in your lives because this is school holidays just now. School's going to go back. There's going to be a lot more personal interaction between people. So we are going to end up with some situations that end up getting tricky. So, you know, that feeling, that end of the summer feeling is kind of magnified, isn't it? That kind of, just about to start for the colder nights and the darker nights. And playing into that is that, and what's going to happen? You know, when will I next hug my dad and my mum? And I've not even been in the house since pre-lockdown. You know, when will normality come? And that can really bring a sense of grasping, and it might be something quite different for you. You know, whenever you've got somebody who's a little bit vulnerable, when we've got a virus like this, it's very easy to go into, oh gosh, quick, get more time with them. You know, instead of just going, I want to prioritise getting more time with them, that is a kind of steady response, but it can be like, oh no. You know, that kind of worry and that kind of pulling in, that's that kind of grasping. Why I think grasping is a really helpful word to explore aparigraha. Another word for it is non-attachment, and I'm always excited by the word. Whenever we get non-attachment, I've got, well, what is attachment? And attachment is that really good thing that happens with young kids and their parents, which means that they feel safe and loved, and that they can trust the world, and they can trust their place in the world, their role in the world. So I love that. But then that brings us to non-attachment. So, you know, which is, for me, is not saying we don't want attachment with people. And it comes back to more that word of greed or grasping. I think grasping for me is the perfect word, because that's got that, you know, that attachment, like holding, and that fixing. And that fixing, I think, is really, really helpful to come back to, because in life, it's just this ongoing flux and flow of people and experiences and jobs or lives and all those things. Everything goes up and down and up and down. It's like an endless sea. And we can fix into a particular place. So often people fix into a view of what they look like, how their body is, who they are, being to do with the kind of physical things. And as people age, as we age, we get lines and our faces sag, and our boobs, if we've got them, get lower and softer, and all sorts of amazing things happen in the body. And sometimes that can be kind of disturbing and surprising, and sometimes that's really great, because it can also be really freeing. But that's when we've managed to let go of I am supposed to look like this, or I think that I look like this and yet I don't anymore, or something is very different. My daughter got very bad scolds when she was a baby, so obviously as a baby she was a little pristine, lovely thing. And then she got scolds, and then she's got all these scars. And I was really attached to the baby skin that she had, that was no longer, because obviously the scars show this is where this trauma happened, this is where this terrible thing happened. So I was quite attached to what her physical form had been before the scolds. But how do I do that? That's terrible. I don't really do that. I just turn my mum off. I feel really bad. I've done it. I'll be on her back just in a minute. I won't be long, Mum. So I was attached to the previous her, but it was really fantastic, the process of growing up with her with the scars, because some years into it, she would show me them. She'd like, this is a map, and this is our house, and this is the bridges, and this is how I get home. And she had a whole story written into her arm, and as a young child it was, this is how I will get home, because I will never be lost, because I have this to show me the way. So it's beautiful in that you can find a transformation in something that was as grasping and a holding and a tightness, into, and actually this particular situation actually brings something to me that I didn't know was possible, that it kind of transforms into something beyond just the back to, because sometimes there's the idea, here's the status quo, here's where I want to be, something happens, it takes you out of status quo, you go, oh dear, this is bad. But actually sometimes there's that slipping back to go further forwards, and I will give you my very worst French here. Reculer pour mieux sauter. There. Very bad, huh? Anyway, I tried. Which means, and it's my dad's phrase, this one, it means to jump back, to jump further forwards. And I think that that's a lovely way of going beyond just not grasping, that actually sometimes more than not grasping, we have to let go, properly let go, and then maybe that bigger growth, bigger jump, bigger whatever it is will happen. I think I've probably said enough. I've not said anything about on your mat. On your mat, it's so easy to get attached to poses, so easy to get attached to, I do triangle pose this way, this is what my body does, I am safe when I do it the same way, and I feel all these same things. There is a really good place for that, absolutely, and particularly when you are earlier on in how secure you feel in your body and with yoga in general. And then sometimes a thing happens where you have to kind of stay a little bit more alive, a little bit more alert with what's going on. And that's when it's really helpful to start to erode the picture, whether it's a picture, whether it's a body sensation, to erode that tightness of what that is for you, so that you can go into a more alive place of, today, this moment. So it might be like, I like to do this, but you go, but actually today, I don't want to do that, I want to do that. And that is a really, really simple thing, but it's so, so helpful. And doing your personal practice at home, again, we can grasp, we can get fixed on that. I must do half an hour, otherwise I'm a bad person. Otherwise I'm going to shout at the kids, otherwise I'm going to be narky, otherwise I'm just not going to be so wonderful. Whatever it is for you, it's so easy to beat yourself up with what you've got to do for your practice. So try to be consistent in your practice, but try to let go of your practice sometimes, so that you don't hold to the practice. Oh my God, I must do yoga. It's so important. It's so, so important. I think I've spoken more than enough, but I did actually make myself a lovely sticky note of all sorts of lovely things that I like to think about. And I'm just saying, if there's anything really fun that, stage of life is kind of an interesting one. The fact that our needs change, so what might be possessiveness or grasping at one phase in your life might be completely different 5-10 years later. Could be life situation, like you've got young children, therefore these things need to be in place for this to work well. It could be just a transformation in where you are in yourself, so that yes, you needed to do X, Y, and Z at that point in your life, and that worked for you, and that was helpful and productive, or productive is a funny word, but that was helpful and holistic and helped you and supported you, and then something changes and you're still attached to this old practice, whatever it is, and you have to say, but actually I don't need that now, actually I can let that go a little bit. More than enough chat for me. I hope you have some interesting thoughts to take through your week with what is it that I am attached to. When is my attachment within me doing something good within me because it is holding to me what I need? And when is it a grasping, a tightness, an over-attachment to something? And yet again, I haven't talked about simplicity. My second word of the week from your little journal here. Simplicity, for me, is kind of linked into the attachment thing, in that if we can simplify, then we can find a place where we find, this is really important, I need this. So what is it? Less is more. Less is more is obviously fabulous. It's an art-based phrase, but you take away, until you can say, oh no, now I'm missing something. I need to bring that back in. So that's another nice way of doing it. And in my own life, in the past week, I've had great fun. It's so sad, but basically I took all the things out of the kitchen, stuck them in drawers, put them away, and now there's this empty kitchen, and that's really quite pleasant. And I'll start putting things into it, and so will the rest of the family, and then it'll build up, and then I'll put them all away again. Right, it's time for me to phone my mum. I hope you're going to have a super week. I hope you're going to hold on to what is dear and let go of what is not, and have some really interesting thoughts with yourself or chats with your friends. Thank you.